Hi, everybody. It's Stephanie Mo Davis. I want to read to you something that I saw on Twitter today that was said by Marianne Williamson. She started out with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi that says, "The end is inherent in the means." She goes on to say, "Who we are is as important as what we do, because everything we do is influenced by the consciousness with which we do it." And then she proceeded to say, that's why Gandhi said self-purification must always precede political action. Okay? So I thought this was really beautiful, really relevant, and crucial for any of us who are really at any phase within our journey's experience, but especially for those who are working in systems that need improvement. We are having a major, potentially breakdown of leadership and fracturing that's been there for a long time, but now obviously everything is very transparent and it's very difficult to get by utilizing some of the methods and mechanisms and tactics that we used to use that helped us to get by, avoiding the much deeper systemic issues. And I love the last part of this about self-purification must precede political action, because although this is not a political channel, I think that that is a first principle of any healthy establishment or institution or relationship. I think this is something where we pulled the cart before the horse. Is that how that saying goes? Where our ideas were the initiating factors and felt like they were enough to cultivate something healthy, right? It's kind of like the initial chemical reactions, for instance, in a relationship. This is going to be enough to carry us through when we start facing each other's shadow. The love is just going to see us through, or all of these brilliant people that we continue to hire and we integrate new programming, is all of this is going to continue to keep our establishment or our employees happy or our partners happy or families from falling apart. And it's not working. There's no degree of externalized help at this point that we can continue to apply without understanding the degree of an equal action of doing self-purification, going through this process of inner standing. First, understanding where we are and admitting how maybe we got to this point of such fracture within larger institutions. And I'm talking very meta here. It's actually not that meta. It's really filtering down, but obviously there's many dimensions to look at with what I'm saying. And if you're just looking immediately in front of you with your life and your family and not thinking about anything else, you might not have these exact feelings. But there are people who care about the whole and who care about a broader and this greater contextual revival, renewal, regeneration. And it's good to think outside of just yourself, although I'm also propagating at the same time self-purification. So I believe we've done and utilized ideas, chemicals, excitements, our mind in a way where we weren't fully realized. And how were we to know? We didn't know, right? But now it's becoming very evident that there's elements of certain cultures or certain religions or certain practices that absolutely must be applied and understood and integrated and practiced experientially in order for us to actually build something that's going to be healthy from the ground up. So we've built relationships, we've built stories, we've built personalities, we've built institutions, and the fracturing is all throughout. And we keep trying to fill gaps, fill cracks. And it's too much now. It's coming down. The tower is starting to come down. And again, depending on how deeply you're willing to look and how honest you're willing to be, is going to be the level or degree in which you can perceive what it is that I'm saying. So, self-purification. We must go back to knowing thyself. Most of us, again, have just gone along in our life, doing what we were told, trying to be good boys and good little girls, getting the education, getting married, having the children, getting the job, whatever it is that we were taught was appropriate to do, right? And then there were the rebels who said, I don't want to live my life that way. And they seemed like they were very, rebellious in other ways. And they were always attacking each other, that the other person's the idiot. And we just didn't know. We didn't have a level of mature consciousness to really fully develop who we are. We didn't have the time. It wasn't valued to do very deep self-inquiry and work that was left for the gurus and the mystics and the sages and the shamans over there or in the past. This is our potential. This is the hope. This isn't the false hope. This is the work that needs to be done, in my mind, in order to rebuild. This is exactly what I've done within myself. And I believe that my vision is clear, much more clear, much more stable, much more, I'm willing to take action. I have trust and I have discernment within my feelings and thoughts because of the level of self-purifying that I've done and I continue to do. I'll always do it because we all know nobody is perfect, but I've had an extraordinary situation with my illness that I had a lot of time and time alone, a lot of being single and really doing the work for many, many years, okay? And it's good to witness these people and be around people who have had the opportunity to do a very deep level of work, because just by being around people like this, communicating with people like this, you're going to see a level of compassion and empathy that naturally flows and emanates from them. So no longer do we have to cultivate courses on empathy or resilience. It's something that you, or whatever it may be, again, trying to fill all of these cracks. These qualities are inherent with somebody who's committed to looking at their own shadow and committing to doing the work. And if you can just see how education works and how systems work, is again, we've built on faulty foundation. And not every one, but main ones, and they've been corrupted, and there's collusion, and there's lies, and there's brainwashing, and there's all sorts of things that go on to keep these institutions flowing with people who can get along enough to continue to produce. This isn't the healthy way to do it. And people have been privy to this for a long time, but when you have masses of populations and institutions with lots of resources or support or money or power, it takes a greater act to have a somewhat of a collapse that is happening. And again, you see it at varying degrees from where you're at and what you're willing to look to really be honest about. So to the degree you're really willing to self-reflect and go within and see your shadow and bias, and then you can see other people's shadow and bias. That's the thing. You have more clear vision. There is a point in time where you have to be very mindful of transference and countertransference and projection, but if you keep going and keep working and keep going and keep working and keep communicating and trying again, you're going to be able to know yourself and confidently say, that's mine, I'm projecting, I apologize, let me try again. Or no, I think maybe this is a complex we're playing out. You're going to be able to have these really incredible, honest, deep conversations that actually go somewhere, so we don't have to continue to put on many plays of many different styles to relive the same loops and projections until we can see more clearly of what's ours and, how we interact with other people with their own complexes. So that's really all I wanted to say is I just love this. I love this. The foundation of this new paradigm that we're moving towards. Again, don't hijack the ideology. We've done it too long and it doesn't work. Don't hijack the ideology. You need to have the objective and the subjective. You need to be balanced. You need to not be overly dominant in your left brain. You have to include the experience, the story. You have to include your full self. And you have to get to know your full self, really honestly. And knowing your full self isn't, it's what I'm referring to is not really the fun part. It's the part where you're very radically honest with yourself and you realize that you've contributed to bad things. You've aligned with people doing bad, unethical things. You've settled in situations where the things that were going on that you didn't like for various reasons. You've contributed to this problem. We all have. And that's the difficult part. Admit that. If we keep trying to deflect and not admit that we've all contributed to us being where we are, good luck cultivating something that's going to be healthy. We all have to be on board here. Y'all, it's my Texas accent. So inner work, self-purification must precede your action. Because we've done it the other way. And besides the beautiful immediate interactions that you have that remind us what's possible, on the whole, we're going through some major breakdown. Let's go in. Let's go into it. Let's do the work. Let's do it right.